Underdog Podcast. It's your host T. Lee and my co-host Jack Cowden will be live today as usual.
Was pulling up, they acting like they couldn't see me. Now she wanna clean me up like a squeegee. I told her that's on me, baby, like yellow BZ. With the peanut butter tear like a Reese.
He's gonna persevere through all the obstacles. Get it done. That's the underdog.
They don't forget the underdog when they see me. I hit them with the John Cena, they can't see me.
You may overlook this person, but the underdog is the one who's gonna put in the work.
It's over, you know? Because you have to lose to win. Whether you think losing is a big event.
Out of mind. All I'm saying, just be careful who you idolize. I'm kicking these scriptures just before the fame. Ain't no cap in my words, I go against the grain.
So I always believed in life. I took so many risks to make this thing happen, you know what I mean?
I'm always working, bro. Like I said, I'm energy driven.
Underdog can put you on your ass. The underdog can put you on game. The underdog can show you something that you didn't know.
Can't go down. All you can do is go up. So are you gonna stay where you at, or are you gonna move up?
Feel the bangers. Feel the bangers.
He said he's nervous. This is his first time doing it.
Cut her ass off, we just get that I can read.
Yo, what it do, good people? Welcome to the Underdogs Podcast. It's your host, Fleetwood JR. And we're back with another one again. We got a very special guest. Very honored to have him on the platform today. Season 6, Episode 9, AI in the Beat, Crafting Hip-Hop's Future, featuring Generative artist Anthony Edwards. But before we bring him in, we got to showcase the talent of what's going on.
Like you the blab, robotic kicking flab, or flavor bit of batter, chitter chatter, better than the Mad Hatter. I bet you buy shit, come my fatter. I got the data, turn your body into antimatter. And just like a piece of sizzling, you'll fit inside my stomach with the eggs and grits between. The king is what I mean, my man, get a cup and put some change inside your hand. Now hold up. Let's make this official. Everybody, let's agree that MCs need a tissue. The funk's my only issue. I bet your mama miss you, and I bet the Mac take off like an MX missile. No more you whining on the charts climbing as I make the funk kicking out my harder than a 9. And if you didn't know who's rhyming, I guess I'm gonna say Craig Mack with perfect timing.
No, what's that?
Just like you the blab, robotic kicking flab, or flavor bit of batter, chitter chatter, better than the Mad Hatter.
Of course, NAS are the letters that spell not like life or death. I'm a rebel. My poetry's deep, I never felt. Not like half man, half amazing. No doubt. Not like life or death. I'm a rebel. My poetry's deep, I never felt. Not like half man, half amazing. No doubt. Not like life or death. I'm a rebel. My poetry's deep, I never felt. Not like.
All right, we're going to let y'all in on one more real quick, but make sure y'all head over to the Instagram at the top right there. Was that? All right, we ain't going to waste no more time. We're going to bring him in right now. This is Anthony Edwards.
Hey, thanks for having me, Fleet.
How's it doing, my man? It's an honor to have you on here today. How you feeling?
Good. Like I'm cracking the seal. My first podcast interview. So,
nah, man. Let me tell you, man. It's definitely an honor and humbling experience. You know, like when I came across the page, being that I'm a hip hop connoisseur. Been doing music almost my whole life, and just like seeing you put hip hop history and do it with a spin in some way, like what you're doing is basically like the future, a futuristic type of art, especially with AI being fairly new now.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I guess that's one of the fun things about it is that it is kind of like it could go anywhere. And I guess one of the things I love about like starting on a project is like at the very beginning, it feels like anything's possible. Like just you can really go a bunch of different directions. And I know like with hip hop being so strong in like a lyrical message and like the metaphor is not even like the message always, but like just the metaphor and how many different ways you can run off of that. It kind of reminds me of when I was an English major way back in the day. And it's kind of like just one of the things I loved about poetry and reading and writing, like back when I did, was that like that metaphor is there for anyone to take and run with it any direction they really want to. So like
Facts.
that's one of the fun things about starting off on like, let's like take a stanza, even just like a single bar, and then you like can run through it, and like you can represent that in so many different ways. And now with AI, it's like it's even kind of giving you almost like holding your hand as you're going through it now, like, and kind of like leading you down paths that you weren't even sure about. Like you weren't even, oh, I didn't even think about like meaning that word in this way. But like as you continue to kind of tunnel down, just like the natural way that the AI artwork kind of works is you put in some information and then you see these results, and then you can kind of either take those results or you can just continue to roll off of those, and it becomes like a kind of like Alice in Wonderland, kind of like just keep falling down through the through the looking glass and kind of finding all these different avenues to find new things.
You're right, man. Like when you say you can take a metaphor and you can just go kind of anywhere with it. Like as an artist, when I write music, it's like when I write something, it's like kind of what I feel and I vision at the time. And it's like just like with art, it's like audio art,
Yeah.
because AI gives a representation of like the imagery. It like takes you down a tunnel. That's when when I'm looking at it's like storytelling, but actually adding a visualization to it. Like it makes it much like revamps it, even with hip hop being like as classic as it is. Like you had Rick the Ruler, Slick Rick, Nas, and Wu-Tang Clan. It's like it brings it kind of more to life, in a sense. Like it revives it, So for a newer audience, not only do they get to enjoy the music, they get to also see the visual too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely enhances it. So first and foremost, as we push the importance of knowing ourselves, how would those closest to Anthony Edwards describe him as a person? Like what type of vibes do you fill the room with?
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty quiet and kind of observant. I like to like um, kind of take in what's happening around me. I'm not very boisterous. I am quick to laugh. Like I find a lot of stuff humorous, and but yeah, mostly honestly, like it's pretty it's pretty quiet. Like I try to speak up enough just to let people know I still like care and I'm paying
Yeah,
attention. But sometimes it does. I'm kind of I'm usually taking things in.
I feel that. Nah, I definitely like I feel it's moments with me because it's like, okay, introvert for sure, and then it's like when it's time for me to be an extrovert, it's like, okay, I know how to cut it on and out, but for the most part, I'm just soaking up everything around me. But it's in a good sense too, it's like, okay, let me just study what's going on in the moment or whatever, and it might help me create, in the sense like I like to be in the moment and pay attention to everything around me, rather than just not focus on and kind of, like it's like a process because I be feeling like I'm a thinker. I think too much. So it's like I gotta be in my thoughts. It kind of like
Yeah.
sort them out. Um, so how has 2024 treated you as an artist thus far? Like how has this year in the whole treated you? You
This has
feel?
been an incredible year, and I was like at the beginning of the year, I was hoping that it was going to be kind of a year of just continue to grow and get more clients and be able to kind of make this a real live thing. And yeah, so far it's been incredible. Like I've had the ability to work on a couple of full length videos with some people that geez, man, like not just respect, but like revere. um, like the Beat Miners took me on for a couple videos and had me
Alright,
working
so
with De La, which was phenomenal. Pharaoh Monk was on that track as well, and then I had one uh, just like right after that with Russ Kaus, and it was like yeah, like just so fun. Like they really get me, like they get my style, and they like just that's one of the greatest things about like everybody complains about Instagram and social media in general,
Right.
but like one of the favorable things about it is that it's given me the ability to be seen by so many people. And like
Facts.
just basically before they even hire me, they know what I can do. So it's not like I'm trying to sell myself. You know what I mean? It's like
Hmm.
it's just like, hey, do what you do. We like it and go for it. Like sometimes I'll even be trying to talk people out of hiring me.
Yeah.
Just being like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this. And they'll be like, you're the only person I know doing this. So I really I want you. And I'm just like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of getting used to that. But this year has been tremendous as far as just like um finding out like how many projects can I juggle at a time? Like where's my limit? Like where do I start saying no to people? Because that never used to be a choice before because it was just like
Hmm.
trying to come up and just make it and feel like I had enough work and enough stuff to do this because I'm done working those full-time things. Like I just can't. It's just this has been such a eye-opening experience. Like it makes me wish I would have been just doing what I wanted to do my whole life instead of waiting until later. But I know that like, it's just not possible. Just circumstances in life lead you to where you are. But yeah, like I've never been happier, like professionally, and um, never like before this. I designed for like about 20 years, and the thing about design was that it was always like creating three looks and then just begging the client to pick one, or even like taking all three and mushing them together, just as long as we can get something.
Right.
And this is so much more like I get to start it with a vision, and I get to see it out and generally like I show people stuff and I would say like 95% of people are just like, yeah, no notes, this is what I want. And then on occasion, like on the longer videos and things, I tend to like there's some things that I miss, like I might like I think on the latest thing I did, like because sometimes the lyrics and the metaphor I'm not quite sure what it is that they mean. So like something like AAA I take
Hmm.
as meaning a tow truck, but
Yeah.
it was actually the AAA arena in Miami is what they were
Mm.
referencing. So like going back in then and kind of like making changes after I've shown them stuff. But like
Yeah.
things like that are usually pretty few and far between. And like yeah, I've been like I said, it's the best. This has been the best year so far.
Nah, I like how well to piggyback on what you were saying with social media and Instagram and stuff is like it's like a red and blue pill though. It's all about like how you use it, in a sense because a lot of great things can happen on it. And like you say, you can create your own niche in a sense, like how you created where they're saying, hey, you're the only one that does this. So it's like where's the competitors? It's like if you're looking for it, to find Anthony Edwards for it. It's like
Yeah.
um, just creating though, like how you say, just loving the fact that, like I say, you're doing something where it's like, okay, this is my thing, like, and you're enjoying it. And but yeah, it's like you create your leverage too as well when you're on Instagram. It's like, okay, you kind of show your worth and what you have going on. So when people do want commissions and stuff, they already so it's like I already know what you do. I've been following you for a while. I've been noticing this. Like you might have people that's been looking at your profile right now for a while, and they're just like, okay, I'm ready. Like I
Yeah.
need. um and but yeah, that's the beauty of it, man. And it's just like you say, just going. It's like going up the ladder. Like you say, life walks us down different paths, but it's starting what you're doing, staying consistent with what you're doing, and just enjoying the process. And like when you're as an artist or when you're creating too, people might not see it the same as when you see it. So it's like I'm gonna be hard on myself about, hey, I wrote this line or I didn't say this word the right way, and I can hear it, but when they digest it, they're just loving it just because of the beauty of the art. But it's like
Yep.
I'm looking at like, nah, I didn't. We got to go back and fix that.
Yep.
But that's the fun part of it too. Um, so
Yeah,
like, what is
I like to do these really fast for that reason. Like that I don't let self-doubt creep in because I feel like it almost always does. And like it's funny, some of the things that I've released that have done really, really well are pieces that I held on to for a while, being like, I don't know if this is right, or this is ready, or this is a, you know, is going to hit like these other things did, kind of a thing. But then I put it out and it blows up, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm my own worst
Yeah,
enemy sometimes, I guess.
I feel that, man. Um, so Wendy Sith on Instagram asked, is there anyone who you had to leave behind or cut off because they didn't believe and could have held you back, family included?
I've had I've had amazing support. Like I've got a partner who's put up with a lot worse for me. So this endeavor has been like, she's enjoyed watching me grow like in this endeavor, and has seen me kind of so yeah, I haven't had anyone that I've really had to cut out at all. Like there's been a few people who may not like it as much what I do because it's AI. Like that
Hmm.
because I have a lot of artist friends and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and some of them, aren't like I try to I try my best to like not do things that I feel like it's going to take food out of their mouths. Like
Yeah,
what I'm doing, I feel like it's kind of nichey. It's kind of like, it's just kind of like a thing to um it's not, yeah, it is. It's kind of like I have no interest in doing like album covers or doing t-shirts and things like that. Like um mainly, and the main reason is because like there are people who have trained and are really good at that, and that's what they do, and that's, what I mean. Like
hmm,
I feel like that's where a lot of people's, like, I even have that kind of like, oh man, that seems like cheating, or that seems like, what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
um for me, like, using the AI is really just one part of the whole process. And
yeah,
I'd like to think, and I may be fooling myself, but I'd like to think that even if I didn't have that to lean back on, let's say like tomorrow the program I use goes away. Like, what do I do? Well, I'm gonna need to adjust, obviously, but like I feel like I could figure out how to use actual artists now, like to continue to do what it is that I'm doing. Because really, that's what I'm using the AI generative model as, is just like, it's kind of like I'm a creative director, and then I can kind of hire these artists to create things for me that like and and it's almost like you can get back results, and then you can kind of like adjust them as you go along. It's almost like you're just kind of guiding these artists. So I kind of feel like it's sort of like in that way. I mean, it helps things go fast. Like I couldn't do as many videos just like to put out there that I am right now, obviously. um but yeah, it's I know that I'm a little sensitive to it. I'm probably overly sensitive to it.
yeah,
It feels like such a non-starter of a conversation whenever somebody does come in, though, because every so often I'll get a comment about like, oh, this is AI shit, or something. Like,
yeah, yeah,
and it's just like, well, I know I can't have a conversation with you. Like, it's not gonna, like, you're not like, you're not
hmm,
really seeing what it is that I'm doing, and I don't know how to
right,
do that to you. And there are a lot of people that are angry about the direction it's going, and I get it.
yeah,
So but yeah, I think that's really, and honestly, I don't feel like I've had to cut out any of those people. It's been much more like just being mindful of that they're still part of my life, and that I want to keep them there, and I want to, I don't want to rock the boat too much,
yeah,
and like maybe also like just not talk too much about successes too, because like that can be something that's not really well looked upon. Like, because a lot of artists struggle, and it can be, I've been fortunate, like really fortunate this year, to like just not have that problem, just always be working on something, and that's all I want, really. So
facts. Now I like how you said when you mentioned like you'll have people, kind of critiquing, you know, AI generated art or whatever and stuff, like you'll have like, and as a hit in hip hop, you know, you might have like, you can't be one track minded. You got to have an open mind for everything. Like it don't matter when you step into your craft, you got to understand that the craft still evolves. Like there's so many different ways of art. Like there's, it's like non-debatable. It's like always some type of new thing coming out. So it's like even with hip hop, like I can be like, if I was one track minded, as long as I've been doing like music, and then it's been different patterns of music, you know, and I can be like, I can't be one track minded and be like, okay, well, they're not really like, they're not rapping, like they're just mumbling or they're just doing this, like, and then I would sound like I'm just being a hater at that point, and I'm not trying to like, you know, kind of get with what's going on. It's a trend. It's always gonna. But one thing, even though it's a trend in hip hop and everything, as an artist, is like I've developed my sound. I know my sound. Like it's like, and I know where I'm going with it. You know, so it's like it can be a million trends, but it's like when you're an artist and you got your original sound that stands out to people, it's like that's gonna be an ear catcher. You
Yeah.
know, it's almost like, it's like when you created something and everything mimics something in a sense,
Yeah.
somewhat, you know. But it's like, you know, it's like, all right, once I'm comfortable in my space, this is my lane in my space. And if I just stay consistent in my lane, it's just like, okay, it's gonna be good, you know, like it's gonna be all right. Like, you know, I don't have to feel the pressure and the things. Like, okay, I'm just moving in my pace, but I know me being original is gonna outweigh a lot of different things,
Yeah.
you know. Fact.
Absolutely. Originality kind of can trump everything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you found your way and you're doing it your way, it's like your original way. Like as you just mentioned, you know, earlier, it's like, you know, they know like, okay, you're the only one that does this, you know, like that just lets you know already, like, all right, I got my own niche, like, you know, and I'm pretty sure with your work and you know the progression and everything, the more people see it, it's gonna be people that's gonna come out and kind of move in the same direction too, off influence,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I look forward to that. Like, and one of the long-term goals of this, if I start to get lofty about it, is to um kind of teach people how to do this too. Like, because it is a process and it's something that I feel like the right kind of people can just kind of figure it out. Like, you know, if you've got that soul and that feeling for the thing you're doing, um, it's something that I feel like I could teach. So, yeah, like the if I had my druthers, it would be like I'm basically like just creative control plus doing some videos, but also like have a bunch of people that I'm helping out with figuring out how to go into other genres and
Yeah.
things that you know, like in specific genres even too. But like it has to be the besides like requests that people send, the biggest question is like, hey, how do you do what you do? Can you teach me how to do what you do? Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So and I think I know I'm different now than I was 20 years ago, because 20 years ago it would have been like, I ain't showing you how to do shit, man. This is my bread and butter. But
I
now
feel that.
it's more like, oh man, like I wanna share it. And it's not like, yeah, like I think I used to be afraid of if I have something and then all of a sudden, oh man, somebody else comes along and they're gonna do it better
Right. Right.
on. And like it's a stupid way to think about things. And I think like I honestly think growing up in the because like I was like, I don't know, probably like 14, 15 whenever I first really started hearing hip hop. And so that idea of biting became like a big thing about like
Yeah.
and and it's like, but that's all we all do anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all
Thanks.
biting.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Thanks.
but I know I used to be afraid of like mimicking, like you were saying, like we all kind of mimic and whatnot. But
Hmm.
now I've become like, I understand this isn't like a magic trick or something. It's just it's a process, and it's something that I would love to teach so that, you know, we could get more things out there and kind of like make it a like an art movement almost.
Yeah. Definitely. I can see a master class coming. Definitely. For real. Um, So what's some of the biggest lessons you learned this year that you'll carry into 2025? Like I'm a firm believer of it's already happening in 2024 and roll over into 25, not like January 1st, 2025, my New Year's resolution is and then the
Yep.
Mars. Like nah, I like to already at least be pedaling into it. Like, definitely.
No, yeah, that is true. I think this year the thing I learned that I'll carry into 25 and beyond is just like honestly anything is possible. Like um I'm not on a scripted journey. None of us really are. And especially like with what I've decided to start doing, I'm really not. Like, things can change month to month. And it's I'm learning to be okay with that, like the uncertainty, because it's generally, if it's uncertain with me being productive and moving towards something, good things happen. Like if it's uncertainty and I'm sitting here worrying about life or
Mm,
like worrying about like what's going to happen, then that's a different. But like if I can continue on this journey, like just kind of like saying yes to everything and just letting things happen and not being afraid, I think is another big thing I'm trying not to be. Like not letting the scope of projects scare me as much, because I do my best work like 30 seconds to a minute. I feel like I enjoy it. I don't know if it's because like I have interest in that piece maybe for that long, or I just like those kind of really quick little, like really fast scenes and quick
yeah,
edits and stuff. But I'm trying things that are more like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm doing stuff that's like outside of music even, like, which is pretty fun. Like I started doing some poetry and some uh, there's uh, goodness, I'm trying to think. Oh, Def Jam comic, or
mm,
Def Jam poetry, Def Poetry
yeah,
Jam
yeah.
artist, Black Ice, who's
Okay.
pretty pretty dope, pretty well known, pretty dope. He's been around for a while. I got to do a couple of his things, and those were just like totally different because there's no, like, you've got to find the rhythm of the words and the rhythm of
Mm,
the speak, and there's no real music to go along with it. And then I just recently got hired to do. I just finished up a piece for the Chicago History Museum for the Spooky Dolls exhibit that they're doing. So
yeah,
like totally outside of the realm of like what everybody sees me do, and it feels good to start to have other people see those things in me and be
yeah,
like, yeah, that person could probably do this, and then go off and, yeah, you know what, I can do this. And so it's about, I think, like next year I'm just going to try to be even less afraid, and like just like only say no when there's like intuitional reasons to say no, not
right.
because not because I'm afraid of not being able to accomplish the thing.
No, I definitely feel that, man. So let's start from the foundation, your background and upbringing. Like, where are you from, and how has that influenced your artistic journey?
Yeah, that's a that's a question I have never really thought about. But yeah, I was born in New York. I was raised in like a small town in Western Pennsylvania, like about 2 hours from Pittsburgh. And I don't know. I really don't know how that influenced me as an artist per se. Like, I know that I felt kind of isolated. Like, I grew up with a single mom, pretty poor, and like in a poor city. So like we were the poor of the poor, and
Yeah.
so like I know I've always like wanted. One of the things about a small town is like just wanting to get out of it becomes like a big part of your early life.
Mm,
Like just wanting, and I think in a lot of ways I rejected a lot of the. I think I just got. Honestly, I think I got lucky and just rejected a lot of the ideology and a lot of the kind of like group think that happens in a lot of these small towns, and especially in like we're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about Trump way before Trump.
Yeah, I
So
get
like
that. Like everybody is all kind of like in sync with each other, like one mind somewhat.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know what it was about it that made me not want to be a part of it, but like I feel fortunate that I feel like I've always been a free thinker and kind of like just someone who is not going to follow the masses. And
Mm,
I mean, in ways, I'm sure I do. Um, but yeah, in that core kind of way of just like, oh man, the stuff I'm being presented and the stuff I'm seeing, I don't like I don't it doesn't feel right and it doesn't sync with me. So like so yeah, like I maybe just like feeling a little bit like an outsider, a little bit like I have something to say that I'm not sure people are going to understand. Maybe that informs my art a bit.
mm,
But overall, like I'm pretty dismissive of like my hometown, and I kind of feel a little bit of like I wish that I was someone who had more reverence for their like where they came from and stuff. Like a lot of the people that I listen to, a lot of people that I admire are very into where they came from and their homes, and like even
mm.
though it was a struggle, like and a lot of times I could never get there. So it's been weird getting older and kind of like feeling pretty disconnected from where you grew up. Um, yeah, it's I wish I had a little more of that feel of like love for home, or like that,
Yeah.
yeah, that I had one, but I've kind of I figured out how to make my own, like kind of up here and
Nah, that's big, man. Like you dropped a big gem because in my mind, I'm just thinking about like anybody from wherever they're from. It's like when you feel like, for instance, I'm from Orlando. Like I love home and everything, but far as like for me on my journey, I felt like when you feel like you reach the ceiling in your city, which a lot of people, if they ever left their city and moved somewhere else, that's a big step for a lot of people. And it's more like the world is so much bigger. When you, like you say, you're a free thinker and you're not thinking the same, as you tend to move a little bit different than everybody around you. And it's like in your city, it's like, okay, it's like a fish tank somewhere. It's
yeah,
like once you get out of the fish tank and you explore the world and see how bigger everything is, like now you come back, you're a shark. It is
yeah,
like a shark that can't fit in the fish tank. Like I always look at it like that. Like it's just the world's much bigger. So it's like, but that initial step of relocating and moving somewhere and thriving somewhere else and stuff, like that says a lot about a person's character. Like because that's something that not everybody does. They might be in their hometowns all their lives, and like the mind, the growth, like you have to keep growing. You can't grow if you're just in one spot, stagnant. And like you say, you have a community where everybody's all like minded, they think the same, you're not thinking for self. And that's one thing we're big on. Like if you could think for self, like that's everything. Like
yeah,
that creates a whole new it's just powerful. That's the first thing, because like you saying, being controlled by the masses and everything, like you gotta be able to think for self, like to really break down what's going on. And like it's good to question. It's not always terrible to question. So people feel like I shouldn't say this or do this, or it's like nah, you might it might be a good thing to do that.
totally.
So what led you to start creating, generative art using AI? Like the process when you first got into it, like what was the idea?
Yeah, that was like 2 summers ago. My one of my best friends like had just kind of heard about this program called Mid Journey, and kind of linked me up to it. And I, for like for most of my young life, I wanted to be a writer before I started designing. So this was like the ability to kind of like just create things with words. So it was in my brain, it made perfect sense. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, I can start like visualizing some of these ideas that I have, and kind of see what they look like, and what is it like to like take a few different artists and mash them together, and like, what do you get when you change one or two words, even the order of words, like just everything. So it was just a lot of play. It was like 12 to 14-hour days, probably like the first few months of just like sitting there and just trying everything. And this was really pretty early in Midjourney. Like it was like, there wasn't as many features, and it was very like kind of just, you type something in and you're going to get results back. And I know a lot of people have done that online. It's just like, I just kept getting things back that I liked more and more. And there was that like, once it really caught me was when I figured out that I could just mix and match different styles, and kind of like basically like almost sampling, but like visual sampling of like, hey, I want like the stroke of like, Picasso, and then I want to use like the illustrative style of like, Glenn Fabry or someone. I mean, you can just take all these different artists and just kind of bring them all together. And although it doesn't really pull, it's interesting because it's not like there's really no science to it. It does feel very much like it's this combination of art and science, where like, you could even put in the same exact prompt twice and you'll get totally different results. Like, it's the same prompt. So there's so many things that you can do with it. And it just like, I started following, like, I think like when I know, like, since I've hit 50, I've become like super nostalgic for things from the 80s and the 90s, especially. So I just started like doing a lot of like nostalgic core kind of like work and stuff, and just having fun and building little things. There was no motion. It was really just bringing back still images that I thought were kind of interesting. And I really got into trying to capture typography, and that was like one of the first things. Even before I was doing any of the music stuff, I was like, oh man, this would be really an interesting way to do a lot of type that would be like display type, and have some fun with it and stuff. And so I started, I mean, pretty quickly, like, I started a blog because I'm old, and had like 3 times a week I was putting out stuff, but most of it was just like static. Like, here's, I think every Tuesdays were like typographic Tuesdays, where I would try like doing some stuff with type and AI. And then was doing like a nostalgia day where I was doing like movies from like the late 80s, early 90s. And that was where I started to figure out that like a lot of, especially like, it's gotten better. It's gotten so much better. But Midjourney, like at that point, it was like at a 3, and now it's like version 6. So it's really come a long way. But at that point, it was really bad at representing anyone that wasn't white. Like, it showed you, it was like, I tried to do like characters from movies that like I loved from like the late 80s and stuff, and things would come back like House Party. I had like kid would come back and he'd look like the dude from Coldplay. it was like, man, what is going on here? And so one of the things I wanted to try to do early enough was at least influence the machine in some sort of way to give better representation of people that aren't white. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it became some sort of a early on for me, it was this idea of just like, shit, man, I don't even know if what I'm doing is influencing the whole product, but I know that since I've started like doing these things here and on my machine, I've been able to, like, it seemed like I've at least be able to take things that honestly, like, some of the results I was getting, I found, and I shared with friends, and I was right. I found kind of disturbing and disgusting. Like they were like, it's early on AI, so there's probably not as many people in it and not as many voices as there should be. So like you would get like borderline vaudevillian kind of like shit back from it on occasion, like early on. So like one of the things I was trying to do is just show, like, make sure that voice wasn't just purely white. No, like, you know what I mean? Like the visualizations that were coming through weren't just good for that. Like, it's not going to be like, it's AI, so it should be everyone. You know what I mean? It's like artificial intelligence. It's like, it's not, it shouldn't be like, and I know that all that kind of shit and computers and everything is biased and you know, it's just the way that things were created. But it feels like it's a chance to have a new start and to have like something that shouldn't be based in something ugly and like, you know, something that we should be past, you know. And so that was one of the main reasons why I started working more on hip hop, was because after I got past like doing a lot of nostalgic kind of stuff, like the idea of showing hip hop artists, and especially like through lines that a lot of people like, I grew up in a time when like people didn't think hip hop was going to make it. I mean, I didn't even really, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us were like, oh, this is amazing. This is I hope I get to enjoy this for as long as I can. You know what I mean? Like, but like, you know, disco came and went, punk came and went. You know what I mean? Like, all these things, they seemed like it was just going to be an ebb and flow. And the chance that like I got a chance to kind of like rework some of those early things that even like were painted as like ultra violent or as like ultra like, I don't know, like dangerous or other things. And I kind of wanted to show, to bring a new light, like a fun and like connectivity to a time like back in the, like, you know, late 80s, let's say. And a lot of that early work was around just individual lines of hip hop. So like just things that are stuck in my head, like, you know, that just would just pop in, and it's just like, oh, I wonder what that would look like if I, like, you know, Fife was a really big person early on whenever I was doing this. Like, I've always loved his lyrics and his humor, his level of complexity in his lyrics that aren't really usually seen, but like they're pretty dope. So like trying to figure out how to just bring to life those things visually, like something as silly as like, hey, Fife, you look fat. Yeah, it looks pathetic. At least for him, how I got me doing calisthenics. And so it's like show Fife doing exercises. You know what I mean? Like, just like kind of like silly, like fun things that I was trying to like bring back a time to where like I just felt, I don't know, it's kind of I get wrapped up in the past and like nostalgia and other things. And I think of like, you know, I think of like Tribe's albums and just like how I would, like, immediately when I start to think, I'm like, oh, shit, man, I got my Walkman, I'm walking around college, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like everything comes just kind of like flooding back. And so I just wanted to find a way to like connect myself to that world in some sort of way. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was doing it, and it felt really good early on. And then just like taking bars, like one or two lines, and then like, well, what if I do like a stanza? What if I do like a whole run of like 45 seconds, and what's that going to look like? And then just taking, like I said, taking those scenes, basically taking the scenes and then putting them together and then just presenting it in a way. And the thing I was worried about, honestly, like early on was like cease and desist. I thought I would get a lot of like, just, hey, why are you doing our music? You know, this is not cool or whatever. And I was so happy that like the first things that I ever got from anyone that was of any recognition was kudos. Like Eric Sermon, like I did an EPMD piece and he like just was like, dude, this is dope. Like in the comments, and it was just like, oh my God, is this the Eric Sermon?
Yeah.
And so like
Legend.
that was the first little taste of that. But yeah, just yeah, and I was surprised that it was so much less. I felt pretty quickly people really saw what I was doing and like you know, had respect for what I was doing, and yeah, it's you know, it's changed everything for me. So
Man, one big thing I took from that too, man, is when you said nostalgia, like that's important. Like it has to be like, you know, as stuff progresses, of course, technology and everything is like those are moments like what a time to be alive though. Like I was born in the 90s, so the way of like growing up in the 90s and how just everything was CD players, tapes, and all type, like that was just a feeling because like now it's like current time now, it's like okay, I'm enjoying it, but then at the same time, like those nostalgic memories, like it's hard when you grew up in that era to where you're at now, and it's like okay, I still remember when McDonald's had the playhouses and everything. Now it looks institutionalized, it looks
yeah,
bland, like the world just different now, you know. But yeah, like seeing stuff like that though is just like people that like you say people that were around in those times as well too. It's like it just makes them like feel good to see it revived or you know like to live on in a sense, you know, because with the days like maybe 60s, 70s and all that, like you don't really have too much of, you know, or when you look at your great grandparents' pictures, you see black and white or whatever, like you
yeah,
don't have the same, you know. So now it's like being able to incorporate that to keep living on, you know. Like right now, today's time, like the recordings, music, and that, like visuals on YouTube and stuff, whatever, like that stuff just keeps going on to like people can look back, you know. It's almost like a new way of defining history in this is maybe in the future they won't even have textbooks. They'll just start showing all this everything that was going on during those times. Really, man. Um, so when it comes to hip hop, who are your top 5 artists of all time, and why do they resonate with
ooh, all right. Well, Fife was a big like I've he might be my favorite of all time. Um, it was something about the way he carried himself. Um, maybe it's just like we're both about the same age, um, both like the same sports teams. Just like everything connected, like with him. Whenever I would listen to him in interviews, and then just like I just I'm a huge Fife fan, and for a while there, I kind of got trapped into just wanting everyone to be native tongue. Like I wanted everyone to sound like De La and
you?
like Jazzmatazz and like all this kind of stuff, like this very um, kind of jazzy hip hop sound.
Yeah.
Um, but I've come around, and like right now, man, I put her up there with some of my favorites. Doechii right now, man, like that album
Mm.
is incredible. Like I've kind of gone overboard. I don't even know how much my followers like her, but like I've done four. I think I've done 4 videos of hers just in the last like 3 weeks or so since
Yeah.
that album came out, because it's just been playing constantly, and I keep getting thoughts. So I want to keep making stuff. Um, you know, of course, like I love Biggie,
Okay.
and I like doing Biggie's pieces, because with Biggie's pieces, it's a little bit about lyrical content, but then I can also just do like fun phrasing things with like how I edit. You know what I mean? Like, because he'll say, instead of just saying something like this, he'll say something like this, and it's
Yeah.
like kind of goes on and off, and you can kind of make cuts or bring zooms or just a lot of really fun stuff with his voice and his cadence.
Yeah, that cadence, man. That's what I was thinking when you said that. Like, instead of saying it one, he emphasized or might stretch the word out or say it. Like, yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, and he's a lot of fun to do these videos of or with and stuff. Slick Rick, I
Okay.
love Slick Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like I was lucky enough. I had a friend of his. She reached out to me to do. She commissioned me to do like a minute of children's story for him, and so she was gonna like give it to him and stuff. So that was like, I think I have that one up on the site too. But
Yeah.
I yeah, I love Slick Rick, and I had I next time I'm gonna stop saying like I had a chance to do this and then not do it. That's the other thing about 2025. I'm gonna start doing the things. So I was supposed to go up to see Slick Rick and KRS in New York up at Lincoln Center.
Nice.
So I had befriended J Period, and he was just like, yeah, man. And I ended up doing like a little promo for the piece that was coming up, and he wanted me to come up and everything, and I just I don't know, it just doesn't always work out. But but yeah, like that kind of stuff. Meeting some of these people is gonna be crazy and fun, and like it's insane. It's like the level of like being like I still get so excited whenever somebody reaches out. Like I've had Queen Latifah DM like and just kind of be like, hey man, thanks for what you're doing, and it just like just being like shit, okay, thanks. But I've damn, we were in five favorite artists.
Yeah. I'm on
Yeah, I'm
five.
not sure
Yeah.
where I am. Did I get five?
Yeah. We on five.
All
Yeah.
right, good.
Yeah. The last one. Who makes the cut?
I mean, I gotta say, like I've come a long way, and I love Kendrick, man. Like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it took me a while to get into like hip hop post like 2000, to be honest.
I
Like
feel you. I
not
feel
every not
you.
like they're just it just felt like for me personally like there were just more misses than hits, like just not like club hits, but I mean like that I feel that I really like would get into. But then I've noticed like as I've started to go back, there's a lot of shit I missed. You know what I mean? Like, and now it's like kind of going through, and like I'll even have like things that like people will commission me to do things, and for me sometimes it's an introduction to an artist. Like I didn't know about that unbelievable piece like maybe 10 years ago that Blue and Exile did. Like it is like this amazing album, and I had never listened to it. It wasn't
Yeah.
until somebody wanted me to do one of the songs on it for them that I sat down and I was just like, oh my god, I missed out on this. Like I had no idea. So it's like it's fun to get like I feel sometimes I get to be that person who like shares music with someone. Obviously, like with the platform that I have now, like people tell me that, but I love it the other way too. Like it's like people will share with me things. I'm just like, oh shit, I didn't even know about this, and now it becomes kind of like a part of your life. You start listening to it all the time now. So
Nah, I feel that like because I be still discovering music like from my childhood. I'm like, when did this happen? Like when did this, album drop or come out? And it's like, how did I, as much as I used to listen to music, like I'm pretty sure there's many more songs like in the archive that they just might just release or just say or revamp, remaster or whatever. Like,
yeah, I feel like one of the things about the 2000s for me is that I kind of regressed back, and that was where I started discovering funk from the 70s that like was the basis for a lot of the early hip hop and stuff. And like I never really knew it. And there was always that incredible feeling of like listening to a song and just being like, oh, shit, that's where that's from. Like, you know, like that and I loved that so much. And in some of the earlier work that I've done for doing videos and stuff, I used to love to bring in like the sampled pieces. So like there's that De La song that is just nothing but samples, like for like about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to like just bring in visual representations of like Ashford and Simpson, and then like Richard Pryor, and like all these things that are like in the song, and then just kind of like MC Light, like all these sort of things that just kind of like it was just it's fun. It's like I love that idea of like and I'm not gonna sound, I don't want to sound so like I think too much of like what it is that I'm doing, but in a way it feels a little bit like that feeling of early hip hop, like where like anything's possible. I'm basically using things from the past to create something new, and I'm like trying to tell my own story through it instead of like use in any kind of traditional way. And yeah, like that's I think that like I would like to think like on the deepest level that's my connection to hip hop, is that this does have that sort of newness and that same feel that I remember from when I was a kid, and hearing this like really like interesting thing that just grabs you. You know, like I that's what I want. I want my pieces to grab somebody and just like kind of force them to watch. And that's the other reason why I like them to be fast, and I like them to move a lot, and like almost manipulate you a little bit, like as you're watching it, just like what?
Yeah, I feel that everything that you is describing. I definitely felt that when I watched the pieces and stuff. It like it captures you because how quick it moves. And I would say the coloring as well too, like how bright it is. It makes you like, yeah, it definitely captured me on it. Like, you know, I was just like, I got to see more. Like, and then after you finish the first one, it's like it's kind of like when a person tastes a new flavored candy, or a new piece of a new like some new food or something. It's like that first little bite was good. Now it's like I need more of it. You know, like definitely. So when it comes to your process, like, can you walk us through your 6-step process of creating art with AI?
Yeah, totally. It all starts with a store or like a timeline. So I'll take the track and I'll put it into CapCut, which is the video software that I use, and then I usually will just take like a blank frame over top of it, and then just chop that up into the scenes that I want to be along with the song. And generally, like I'll listen to it and I'll be thinking a little bit about the lyrics and stuff, but it's much more like a timing based thing. I really only want these things to hit for like 2, maybe 4 seconds, the longest, but like that's kind of like where the sweet spot is, I feel like. But then once I create the timeline, then I know how many scenes I'm going to need to create. So I go to paper and I just start storyboarding out those scenes. So let's say it's a 30-second song and it's got 10 scenes. So I sit down and I line by line just writing out like, okay, here's the line, and then under that, like kind of like here's the things that could pop out of this. Like here's my first initial thoughts. Then I take those words and I go into Midjourney, which is the software I use, and I start prompting, which is just putting in commands for each of those particular phrases that I just came up with the storyboard. And I'll take those particular pieces once they're just like, you know, a still illustration, basically like a digital illustration. And then I'll place those into the timeline so that I can make sure that I have them working out kind of like I want. There's no animation at this time. It's just kind of like just static, almost like a gosh, what do they call this? This is like a screen show, like it just it's just like
Oh yeah,
boom, boom, boom,
slides. Yeah,
and so then what I do is I take once I'm good with like the feeling that that scene has, I'll take it and I manipulate it so that I'm able to animate it, and the animation is really just anywhere between 4 and 8 scenes that are all pretty close to the first one. Like it gives like a little bit of emotion to the piece and makes it feel like it's running quicker than it is. And so what I generally do is I cut those down anywhere between 30 frames a second or 10 frames a second, and that gives that kind of feel to it. It also can sometimes, like, it used to in the old days when I was first doing it, it tricked a lot of faces into looking more like what the thing is you thought it was. Like if you stopped it for a moment, you're like, oh, that's not Tupac. But then, like, if you look at all 8 of them one after the next, it was like with the music and with the other things going on, it kind of tricks your mind into like, oh shit, that's Nas. You know what I mean? Like,
oh man,
I've done some of that too, but animating the individual scenes is the next step. And after I do that, I take each individual scene and then I add them back into the timeline so that I can now watch. And then I animate the scene itself has a level of animation that's kind of flickery. Then I can add also kind of like movement animation to it once it's on the timeline. And then I can add a little tiny taste of animation in between each ones for transitions.
yeah, I seen it.
Then the very last thing to do is just take using like visual effects, which are basically like shakes that'll happen. And it's like some of them are like snap, hit, boom, boom. Like here's the snare hit. And then there's another particular one that I like to use that feels a little bit more like a throb, which would be more like a bass or like, this sort of like feeling of like a lower end. And then throwing all that on top of it, and then just ending up kind of matching the beats up with those particular visual effects, and then releasing it out to the world.
Nah, definitely, man. Like I said, it is like as soon as it came, I'm literally within the first couple of seconds, it just captured my eye and was like, go look at the profile. Like, just go soak up the rest of them. Like, and then by the midst of me going like halfway through, I was like, yeah, I have to reach out. I was just like,
Oh,
shoot my shot. Shoot my shot. Either I'm gonna shoot like Shaq in the free throw line, or I'm gonna shoot like Stephen Curry. It's like you just gotta go for it, So were there any challenges you faced when you first learned your technique?
I mean, it's funny because it was I just basically, like, I made most of it up. There's a small piece of it that came from an artist that works with Wu-Tang. Oh, I think you froze up again, Flip.
Oh yeah, so
There we
yeah,
go.
I don't know how that happened, man. It just decided to disconnect itself. I don't
No,
know
no,
by
it's
itself.
good. It's good.
But yeah,
But yeah,
so like whether
it was brand new, so like there was really no, like, I just kind of had to do it and just keep messing with it a little bit. There was the honestly one of the big boosts that I got. I feel like one of the things that really took me to another level would be the adding that kind of movement in the actual frames themselves. And that was something that I picked up. Danny Hastings, I don't know if you know that artist, but he works really closely with Wu-Tang, and
mm,
he's been their guy for like 30 years. And we hooked up on Instagram once, like we're both doing AI kind of stuff, and he showed me some animation techniques that then I kind of took and couldn't quite figure out how to do what he was doing. But then I'm like, if I just flip this a little bit and do it this way, this is kind of doing what I want. And then I just kept working on it and changing the timing and just like, and eventually just like ended up really liking it. And then finding out that, like I said, it made up for a lot of the um, inconsistencies early on with results, like where things wouldn't quite look like they were supposed to. But if I took enough of those, like a good 8 or 16 of those the same frame, but just slightly different, you can kind of cheat the eye to make things look right. But yeah, that was all. That was a big little. It was something. It was one of the few times during this that I feel like I've had somebody else who has given me something that I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, this is awesome. Like, and it felt so good, like to not have to figure that out for myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I'm not as alone as I thought, because a lot of this stuff out here, like I don't really know that many people doing AI work, and to be honest, like I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of AI work. Like, I like people who are trying to do creative things with it, but like I'm kind of overseeing, like, I don't know, like Elon Musk breakdance or something. You know what I mean? Like a lot of it is that kind of very hokey kind of like, and so like
Oh yeah, like I seen was it Trump and Kamala? It was like a Trump was carrying like a chicken or something. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what
yeah,
it was. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and then, you know, people I'm sure enjoy that. I feel
Right.
like it's kind of it feels kind of hokey. It feels kind of like its time will come and go kind of thing. And I
Hmm.
feel like um, what I'm doing, uh, mainly, honestly, I think it's the storytelling part of it that really helps with what I'm trying to do with it. That I at
Yeah.
least feels elevates it a little bit. Um, but yeah, I've been pretty, like like I said, I don't really know that many people doing this. Um, and so yeah, like a lot of the technique is just something that just came out of continually working and trying to do it, and then and getting it down to that like kind of 6-step thing that we just talked about took a while. You know, it took a while. There's a lot of back and forth and um, figuring out like, oh shit, was this magic just the first time I did it? Can I do this again? Like, how do I replicate this feeling? Like, you know, but yeah, there's nothing better than delivering something to someone, like just sending it to them digitally, and then having my phone blow up, and I pick up the phone and it's just a person going, "Oh my god!" It's just like they're so excited, and like it makes me feel like so appreciated, and yeah, it's been it's you know it's I'm glad I'm glad I took the time to try to figure this out and learn something that really wasn't there, just kind of making my own lane and then hoping that, you know, people would dig it.
Nah, facts. And speaking of the recognition and impact, how did it feel when you first noticed your art gaining recognition on social media on the platforms?
Oh, it felt great. It was uh overwhelming at first. Like um I know I internally overreacted. I'm sure. Like um the first thing that really dropped was the this Fife led piece that I did in November of 22, and it was I don't even have it up any longer, but it was I want to say about 10 uh, hip hop artists who had died like well before they should have, and it was just a piece about like I took them and grew them out to like 80, to like basically saying like,
Mm.
as I've gotten older and I've started to understand that like shit, man, like I never knew, like, one, I didn't know I wanted to get older. Like when you're younger, you don't really. I don't know. Me personally, I was
Right.
just, I don't really know I want to get older. I'm ready to
Right.
die, man. 30, or whatever, like stupid shit you think.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, you're just like, oh my God, like these people fucking deserve to live as long as I am. You know what I mean? Like they deserve to have that same life and that the same ramp up. So like having, to me, it was like just a little bit of wish fulfillment art, basically, of just saying like, hey, what would this be like if Fife could have aged up, and been 80 one day, if Tupac, if Scott LaRock, like all these people that had passed before they should have. So I just put it out there, and at the time I had less than 1,000 followers. Like it was just for people that that have been following me, and all of a sudden I noticed like my numbers started going up, like my followers started going up, and then it wasn't until the next day that somebody DM'd me and they were like, "Hey, do you know Questlove reposted your thing?" And I was like, "No, I didn't, like at all," because I didn't have any of it tagged. Like I was really new to the game, so I wasn't prepared for any kind of success at all. And so it just like it got me attention, but it didn't quite, like it wasn't a snowball effect of like all of a sudden overnight I had like 20,000 followers or something. It was very slow and kind of like a slow trickle up. I thought at that point I was gonna make t-shirts of all these people and become, instantly rich.
Yeah.
And then figure out how to, I also wanted to figure out how to, like my grandiose idea of like, I'm immediately going to be a millionaire, is how do I get the money back to the people whose families, like I want to be able to, like, I wanted to help out, like make sure that these families of the people that I'm representing know that I care about them. And nothing ever came out of it monetarily, but like I remember like there was this immediate feeling of like, shit, things are going to be, this is really big. This is really big. This is going to be huge. And I mean, in a way it got me some attention. It started to get me some more followers. But then I just kept like, just kept putting stuff out and just kept putting stuff out. And then through a lot of word of mouth is really just people sharing my stuff out, and like just it just organically it grew and just continued to grow. And I just, the more people that came in, the more I wanted to do, you know what I mean? Like the more I felt like I almost like responsible in a way to like, oh shit, I got these things a week now. And I really do. Like you start to get a little bit addicted to the feedback that you get. And yeah, that was definitely like the first viral moment was that one. And then like in February or March of the next year, I put out one of my first Flickr reels, which was Insane in the Brain with like Louis Armstrong playing the trumpet was the line. And I was like, when I finished that particular piece, I was like, I'm kind of happy with this. It was only like 15-20 seconds. It was pretty good. But I was just like, oh man, this is pretty good. And I put it out there, and then it got picked up. Somebody must have got it in front of Zendog, because he started following me then, and then Be Real picked it up, and they blasted it out there. And then that was my first like thing that had over 2 million hits. Like I had never had anything close to that. And so that really, I think from that part I had about 6,000, and by the end of summer I was up to 70,000. So it went like pretty fast up to that level, and the whole time just continuing to put out more stuff and just like not resting on laurels of like one thing kind of taking off, and just wanted to make sure I had lots there for people to look at, since there were new people coming, and all the new eyeballs. And yeah, at that point calls started coming in from like people who I was like shocked to hear from, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, oh shit, this is this is pretty dope. And like, people want commissions, and they want to know, like, hey, can you do this for me? Or early on, there was a lot of vanity pieces, which I've really gone away from, because it's hard, man. It's like, people have an idea of what they look like.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, even if you like, and first off, I don't claim to do a great job of photorealism anyway. Like, I like to have a little more fun and experiment with the visuals and stuff.
Right.
But even just like, yeah, it gets hard really, like, really fast, to show somebody something, and then you're excited about it because you know it looks really good, but they look
Right.
at it, the first thing they're like, that does not look like me.
Yeah.
There's a deflating feeling of like, and like,
All
and
the air out the
it feels like
balloon.
one of those problems that there's no solution to. Like, I'm not going to be able to get to where you want me to get to, because maybe I don't see you the same way you see you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a different, or I'm looking at a picture of you that's the angles off. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everything. Yeah. So I've kind of gone away from that. And when I start a project, one of the first things I put in my paper that I send is just like, hey, I am not a photorealism guy. Like, if you're looking for that kind of thing, you know, this isn't going to work. Which, yeah, it was just like, I like to set those expectations early, and then hopefully
Got
blow them
to.
away. You know, that's like kind of the hope.
Yeah. Nah, definitely, man. So what does it mean to you to receive appreciation from the hip hop legends as well, as you're going along your journey?
Yeah, it's beyond meaning. Like, it is. It's like having people that you revere. You know, like, people that you've grown up, like, never thinking you would have any kind of attachment to, and like, at one point thinking like, man, it would be cool if I could at least, like, just meet that person, or like, you know what I mean? And but you always know, like, on that level, you're meeting somebody and they don't know who you are, and you're gone. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things, and it's more for you, and it's a great feeling for you. Like, oh man, I got to meet someone I appreciate a lot. And I've never had that same feeling of like, oh my God, you're you. And then have that person be like, oh, you're you. And it's just like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, what? You know who I am? And that's pretty crazy. Like, earlier this summer, Curtis Blow's team DM'd me and wanted me to do
Type
something
stuff.
for the breaks, because it was like its 40th anniversary.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, man, I don't
Mhm.
normally take requests, but you're this Curtis Blow.
Right.
It's like, what am I gonna say? No? Come on, man.
Right.
It's like, and I was like, happily, and I busted that out in like an afternoon, and put that up, and sent that off to him. And
Mhm.
it just feels like having that kind of connection, and like, just, it feels great. It does. It feels, it's sometimes sort of dreamlike. The names that reach out to me sometimes are just like, oh my God, man, this is insane. And like, I wish that I knew sometimes how to turn those into, like, more into projects and things, because I'll have like, man, like, goodness, it had to be like a year, maybe a year and a half ago. Or yeah, Keenan Ivory Wayans reached out,
Mm.
and it was just like a total blast from the past. And I think maybe I hadn't even done the Jack of Spades video yet, but like, him reaching out to me and just being like, man, I love your stuff, and I've got some ideas that I want to like throw by you, and all this kind of stuff. I get way too many of those that then like just fizzle. But I know the
Yeah.
way people think, you know what I mean? And I'm the same way. Like, it's hard to tie people down. It's hard to get people, you know what I mean? Especially creative types. But like,
Mm.
I'm hoping some of these start to grow into that next level. like I've had some directors reach out and like, you know, seem super excited, and then it just kind of everything kind of is like, yeah, we've got to do this. And I'm sure this is just part of being creative or working with other creatives too, like that you've everybody's super excited in that moment, you know what I mean? But then like starts the weight of the world starts to come in, and for me I start to think like, well, maybe it's the AI thing. Like maybe like they're on some level they're not getting back to me because this legally is still a weird thing. You know what I mean? Like, because I had the Knicks reach out to me last summer, like the summer before this one, and like they were super on board, like wanted to do a bunch of stuff and had me filling out papers, like, you know, everything seemed like it was like a lock, and then they just like vanished. So like those kind of things feel like they start to feel like, oh man, it might be the AI, because it's not, I know it's not me, it's not my work. It's but like people do tend to, I don't know if it's because you don't have, I don't know, like legally I think it's still that gray area that people aren't sure exactly what it is that they do with that, like moving forward.
I get that.
Like the IP of it, like, you know, like that whole part of it, like who owns the intellectual property, blah blah blah, like, and all this kind of things, which is still up in the air, or, you know, not quite talked about yet with AI.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is too. They're like unsure about a certain thing, you know, that they're not all the way sure with, but they really want to do it. Like you say, but business wise, they're like, I don't know. Like, I get that. So speaking of future aspirations, what do you manifest for yourself in the art world as you could continue to grow?
Like I said before, I would really like to teach. I'd like to. It's definitely in the plans. It's something that I'm thinking of. I don't know how far in the future that would be, but yeah, it would be great to teach some other people how to do this, and maybe make this into some sort of a, you know, a multi-person company instead of just me having to handle everything.
Definitely. So out of your entire catalog, which piece is your favorite and why?
I'm going to sound like a true artist here and just tell you that I think it's either something I'm working on or something I'll do later, because I always think like, damn, that was dope. And then, you know, later on it's like, oh shit, that was really dope too. But honestly, I think I really like the Craig Mack piece, the first one you showed. Like that one really got people excited. Like, and a lot of times, like I personally, I like a lot of the pieces I put out, but it's fun whenever I put something out and then everybody reacts to it in such a positive and like just like you can tell like they felt it, you know what I mean? Like they really like they felt that thing that you're feeling. And yeah, I think that one probably resonated the most with people at a time whenever I was still growing. And like yeah, that one touched me so deep that then I went back and did a version 2 of the next stanza, because just the reaction that I got from people, and it was a common ask too, like, are you gonna do more of this? And for that one I was like, yeah, I mean, it really took me by surprise how it kind of took off. And because generally I put something out and I've got a good, I mean, I don't really understand always how Instagram works and who's seeing what and who's like, I mean, because like I know for certain though, there's like about 2,000 solid Ant fans who always like are first in the comments and pumping me up and making me feel good about, you know, what it is that I'm doing. That means so much to me. Like it really, as much as a lot of artists are, you know, I mean, I do it for people. Like I love making other people feel good. and like the happiness and the energy that I get from other people when they reach out to me and just just want to let me know that they enjoy what I'm doing. And yeah, it's absolutely, yeah, there's not, I'm trying to think of like, there's one particular piece that just fell flat, and I don't think there has been yet. Like everything I've put out has gotten somewhat of, even if it's not like a popular song. Like right now I'm doing uh a 9-part series on Triumph by Wu-Tang. And so each line, or each verse has its own piece, and it's about
that's tough.
40 seconds long. So I did the same thing just recently with Protect Your Neck. And then as I was in the middle of that one, people were starting to be like, man, you should do Triumph next. And I was like, all right, I already did some Triumph earlier, but I'd never done the whole song. And so I figured give it a try. And so I'm in the middle of doing that. But like, it feels like when I put those things out, it's almost like not a layup, but I feel a little bit like, all right, I know this is going to get X amount of likes and shares and so much, because it's got this groundswell of people who love Woo and just like this, and they look forward to my Wednesday kind of like posts. But when I put out something that's either by a lesser known artist or even an unknown artist, like just someone that I've done a commission for, who really is the bread and butter for me, like that's really the independent artists who can't afford like actual visuals for this, like a video or any of those kind of things. I'm a pretty reasonable priced option to do something dope that gets their music out there. And so like those people, when I put their thing out there and it still gets like 1,000 likes, I'm like, oh, I'm onto something, because it's not the music they're resonating with now. I mean, it is in a certain way, but it's not in the same way. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that was like when I was 19, and you know what I mean? Like it's different. Like this is a new piece of work that still gets that respect, and it just feels, like it just is further evidence that like I'm doing something that matters, which is nice.
Most definitely, man. So what advice would you give to other aspiring artists trying to find their niche, like to find their own lane, to create their own lane, to be original?
Yeah, I would say never give up. Like just like don't and never don't ever think like this was supposed to happen when I was X number of years, because that kind of stuff will just lead you to a grave where you're unhappy. Like you need to realize that like shit is unscripted, man. We're gonna end up where it is that we end up. And like I don't worry about where you are right now. Like keep striving to get to the spot where you feel like you want to be. And in the case of like what I've been able to do, like don't worry about the fact that nobody else is in that space or nobody else is doing it. If you feel like for me, this started off really as like therapy. You know what I mean? Like it was just like being able to take a lot of time and build things that I had some kind of like loose control over, although the AI kind of goes wild. But yeah, it was definitely more therapeutic and more like, I never thought that I'd have the opportunity to, want people to talk to me about this work or anything. Like it really was just being true to myself and wanting to put out something into the world. And yeah, I mean, I just keep creating, I would say, and keep making space. Like keep making space for yourself by putting yourself out there. Yeah, I know that don't let fear keep you from continuing on and trying things. because creative
No,
people
that's
way.
real. That's real, man. I feel like I need to hear that too, man. As I'm on this journey, listening to people, and I'm a sponge as well. So it's like I'm just soaking everything in, to incorporate with my journey and process. Um, so what do you wish more people understood about generative art and AI that you see that may be a misconception about what it is you're doing?
It's funny because I think a lot of people are pretty educated on it, and I just I think the biggest misconception is like it's easy and it's just one thing. Like it's just this one thing, and it makes people with six hands or six fingers on their hands. You know what I mean? Like just this. There's one particular conception that people have of AI art. So what I'm basically really trying to do is just make it one piece of this process that I do, and then um, kind of show it as, hey, this is AI generated, and I make sure I tag everything AI. I my name has an AI on the end. Just like these kind of things of I'm never like, but I feel like some people look at my stuff, and since it doesn't particularly look like AI, like and I try pretty hard to make it not look like AI. Um, that I feel like sometimes people get a little angry because they're just like, oh, wait a minute, you didn't do this, and then it becomes like like that kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you're right, that particular thing is AI generated, but like I didn't sit here and like put a Biggie song in a recorder,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean, like in a
You got to
special
have a
box,
you
and then
gotta
all of a
have a
sudden all this stuff
vision.
pops out. It
Yeah.
is like you sit and you get to spend time with, in this case, like one of the reasons I love working with music is I get to sit and spend a lot of time with the music that I normally wouldn't, and hear it in a way that I normally wouldn't. Like it's very active listening, so that I'm able to pull out the things that I want to show. Um, so yeah, it's just, I guess that would be the biggest misconception that I feel people have, is that it's it's easy, and it's kind of um, I don't know, like almost not like that it's not something that you can hone. It's not a skill, like is what a lot of people seem to think. And yeah, I'm just trying to I try to prove that wrong every time I post something. But
Facts. So looking at your journey so far as an artist in the game, what are you most proud of your journey so far?
oh boy, let's see. I would say probably the like, being able to trust my instincts a little bit more now is a really good thing. Um, like having the ability to say no to someone is pretty important. Um, like knowing, like honestly, like I think this year I finally have figured out how to value myself, and like then I'm not. So it's made me less susceptible to putting up with bullshit from people who don't want to value what it is that I do, or that you know I like I said before, I keep my rates low because I want to help out people that don't have, you know, aren't on record labels, and that they, this is their love and this is their passion, and so we can kind of share that passion together and make something. Um, yeah, and then yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of lost I lost track of the thread there for a second.
Oh,
Been
no,
talking too long.
most definitely, man. I respect that in the sense too that you're allowing independent artists, or somebody upcoming in the game, like you say, that doesn't have the record label budget or the industry budget just yet, you know, that they're able to, you know, create with you. Uh, and definitely, I gotta increase myself, you know, because I feel like, you know, just being a fan of what you're doing and hearing how you go about the process. Yeah, I definitely got an idea. I wanna I wanna inquire about. So you independent artists out there, anybody that's doing anything creative or want to take your brand to the next level, make sure you follow the Instagram posted on the screen. Um, so what role does storytelling play in your artwork per se? You feel like?
Yeah, it's I think it helped uh, differentiate me from other AI artists who just basically want to um, kind of push the realm of beauty, or I don't know, like of like how what they can do with the still image in itself. The storytelling aspect of it is really like where I feel like I excel the most, especially like I was saying early on, like just actively listening and then pulling out the pieces of story that's in the music, and then with pen and paper sitting here and then storyboarding out the idea. I mean, it is story driven art, really, and it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm using music that tells story. Like I try to pick things um, that are going to reflect well in that format.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned the storyboarding because, like you said, at first you wanted to be a writer, but then
Yeah,
it still like meshes with what you're doing right now, you know. So you still get to pursue that dream, you know, in a sense. Um, so what legacy do you hope to leave as an artist in the hip hop and art community?
yeah, that's big words, legacy. Um, yeah, I hope people continue to appreciate what it is that I'm doing, and I hope I get the chance to work with more people that I respect, and yeah, I hope I get to leave a lot of work out there. And it's like you said, every day somebody new is looking at my profile and is you know getting into what I'm doing. So it's just continuing to grow, and I'm hoping I leave behind a ton of work. And yeah, I'd love to do some more. Um, I'd love to do some more like social kind of work as well, like anything that's like I got a piece that's coming out soon that I did for someone that I'm really excited about, that is around just like the misuse of the force from the police, let's say. What I mean?
Mhm.
Like just like the whole story around just how, as a community, uh, not only have blacks been underserved, but they have been, and at the wrong times, overserved. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But that yeah, and I'm really excited. It's a little Simmy song called a little Sims song called Point and Kill, and it's just like I legitimately, it was like a 2 minute piece, and it was one of those things like where it's one of the few pieces I worked on where afterwards, like, I was affected. Like I was like I like I felt like like it was hard. Like it was like I had to kind of step away for a day and just kind of give this a moment to breathe before I kind of looked at it again. Um, and it's just like it's important to me to like hit the right notes, but not have it feel like torture porn at the same time, because I know a lot of shit that's out there is kind of put out like
Yeah.
that. And so like I feel like I like really nailed it and got the yeah, I'm excited. That one I think will be out in November, and I'm excited to show that once he feels like he wants to put it out.
Nah, that's dope, man. Like I say, definitely gotta give you your flowers, man. On the Underdogs podcast. Like I say, I'm very honored, and it's a humbling experience to have you on the show. I wish you much more success in your journey. What you're doing it's like me as a creative, seeing what you're doing and knowing the process of like this is something new. This is something that's gonna change a lot of everything and just how attentive and how it grabbed me with the work. And that's when I was like, yeah, this is gonna be big, definitely. I mean, it's already big now, but yeah, man, it's just like it's like, how can I say it? As art, itself is changed in so many different forms. It may have started out as just drawing, and then you got like you say, vanity art with people drawing people, or you got, photos is art, music is art. Like it's so many different ways to do it, and I just feel like this is something that's gonna be like much appreciated, as a future, like as the future keeps going. It's like that's one of the things, like, okay, this is the new way, like this is gonna be the new wave, like definitely. But before we get you out of here, I would like to ask you the golden question. When you hear the word underdog, what does it mean to you?
I mean, honestly, when I think like a lot of people, I've always rooted for underdogs, like because I do tend to first think of like this idea of that thing is not what everybody thinks it is, and like like an underdog is someone who no one really sees them as the true potential of what it is that they are. But there's always like one of the things that I think I rooted for underdogs the most was I love that idea of hope. Like, and I feel like underdogs really bring that forward as far as like in a way of like, these are the things you didn't think could be done, but these are the people that are doing it. And they may not have the backing that a lot of your higher ups have, but that they're every bit as formidable. And there's the fun part of watching underdogs succeed that I just love. It's like that old Biz line, damn, it feels good to see people up on it from the Vapors. Is like that's kind of it. That's that underdog feeling of like it just does. It feels good to see people up on it.
Nah, facts. Y'all heard it first right now. Season 6, episode 9, AI and the Beat, crafting hip hop's future, featuring generative artist Anthony Edwards. We appreciate you, man. Definitely, like I say, look forward to more pieces dropping. I'm a fan, so like we logged in, man. I'm definitely I like to tell everybody that comes on my platform, like it's an infinite amount of support. Like once you lock in, like it's just like underdog family, network. Everybody's just doing everything they do, but like I said, I always tell people don't cost the support. I mean, literally a repost or share or whatever go up. We always make sure we follow up and share it as if it's our own. In a sense, that's how much we appreciate what everybody's doing. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. I definitely had an episode over to you soon. When I upload it on YouTube.
Excellent.
All right, man. You take it easy. We out of here.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Gold mouth, rabbit on my teeth. I got carrots. Open up a mouth and she got vocals sound like Janet. Marble on the floors, but the kitchen kinda granted. Lean color perk, you would think it's pomegranate. I see flying saucers finna roll another planet. It will fall in place if it's meant to be organic. I got crazy lingo, you would think I'm speaking Spanish. I'm something like a pie, never leave without the cannon. I'm enlightened. I got stones around my neck. If you pay attention, I teach her how to earn respect. I walk around with a tag like I'm mad at the rail. People do any damn thing for a check. So what if you got signed labels, throw them on the shelf? I don't ask for help, I just go within myself. Hard times I prevail, I bust up out my shell. I let my nuts hang, cause they don't got no curfew. Gold mouth, rabbit on my teeth, I got carrots. Open up a mouth and she got